She knew it was a defensive act, but she couldn't stop herself. Why? He already thought she was crazy. Why stop here? I thought he might be a Drakon, okay? Or that he knew one. Tarrant moved so fast he was a blur. 1 second he was on the other sofa, the next he was looming over her, his hands on the back of the sofa, caging her in. Why do you care? His voice was soft, but there was no disguising the menace beneath. She tried to swallow, but couldn't. It's not right, what my family has done for generations. I thought if I could warn one Drakon, maybe save one. She trailed off. Tarrant seemed perplexed. She gave a wry laugh. Yeah, I know it was a dumb idea. What Drakon would listen to me, the sister of the head of the Knights of the Dragon? Heck, I wouldn't believe me either. But she wanted Tarrant to believe her. I've always felt drawn to Drakons. I dreamed about them as a child. I even had one as an imaginary friend when I was small. Tarrant eased back and sat beside her. An imaginary friend? A Drakon? She didn't care how silly it made her seem. I was a lonely child. What better friend than a powerful creature who could be both playmate and protector, both human and dragon? Tarrant was stunned by her confession. He, possibly the most cynical man on the planet, although Ezra gave him a run for the title, believed her. It made sense that she wrote children's books about dragons. She was probably drawing on her childhood memories. Maybe it wasn't the brightest idea in the world. She rubbed her eyes. No, scratch that. It was stupid. I know my sister keeps tabs on me, has people watching me. She gave him a pointed look. Karina has spies everywhere. I can't trust anyone. Then we have that in common. He could tell from her expression that she didn't quite understand, so he elaborated. I can't trust anyone either. That wasn't quite true. He trusted his brothers, and now Sarah, but that was it. He'd trusted one human, Father Simon Babinow, but now he was gone. Valeriya inched away from him. His expression had gone dark at the thought of his murdered friend. He raked his fingers through his short hair and shook himself. Best not to think about his friend, not while he was dealing with Valeriya. What would you have done if Darius had been here? He was curious and also more than a bit jealous. Valeriya was his. She smoothed out a small crease in her jeans. I don't know. I would have told him that my sister and the Knights were searching for him. It's never good to be a person of interest with them. And what if he'd been a Drakon? Her green eyes widened and she bit her bottom lip. Possessiveness roared through Tarrant. He didn't like the thought Valeriya might be interested in his brother. Of course, she didn't know Darius was his brother. She didn't even know what his brother looked like. All she'd wanted to do was help. That calmed his dragon somewhat, but not much. I've always wanted to see one. Her whisper was so soft he might not have heard it if it weren't for his preternatural hearing. Why? Do you want to capture one? Drink his blood? She shook her head emphatically. No, I would never harm a Drakon. They've been hurt enough over the centuries. But there's one thing I don't understand. And what is that? They're more powerful than any human. How can the Knights capture them? Potions and magic, he muttered. What? Valeriya asked. Tarrant wasn't about to talk about the Knights. That just drove his temper sky high. He focused on the one fact that seemed most important to her. So you want to see a Drakon, do you? Oh, yes. She breathed the words, sounding much like she had when they'd made love. He didn't like the idea of her mooning after some unknown Drakon. Or even worse, a known one, like Darius. What if I could give you that? How far would she go to get what she wanted? You know a Drakon? She was practically vibrating with excitement. Then her enthusiasm dimmed. Best not to tell me anything. If my sister ever finds me, I can't tell her what I don't know.